What's going on, everyone? Tallen back here, and today I am joined by a very special guest, D-Free. Go ahead and go ahead and say hello, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. It's a pleasure to be here, and we're gonna talk some Dokkan.
Yeah, basically. So, if you guys have not seen the title and you guys just clicked on the thumbnail, whatnot, we are going to be talking about the categories today. We have some thoughts on them, I guess, is the best way to start it off. Do you want to go ahead and start off, man? I mean, what do you like about it first? Do you think it has some potential in the game, or do you think maybe it's just, eh?
Well, see, the thing is, I think that at its core, when you really just truly look at the system for what it is, of course in the positive light, which we'll have negative things to say later on, trust me, that it is a good mechanic, right? It's a good thing that they implemented because what it does is it allows other units that we would never use in any other scenario to be used, right? Like, for example, that whole Peachy Peachy Girl team. You would never use a all-girl team like that unless you're doing like a joke team or whatever. Like sometimes I do joke video teams or whatever, but you never use something like that. And that could be good in the regards that, hey, maybe you just have these units you would have never used and you wanted to put them on a team that could be competitive, you know, for maybe things like boss events or whatever, because the buff is good enough and high enough to allow for that to be something that's possible, which I think is the main reason why they popped out with 150s, to be honest. Of course, they have to up the scale, allow for units to output more damage because damage is appealing and it sells, excuse me. But I think that that's one of the main reasons as to why they did that, because there's some of those other potential categories that we have a lot of potential for, like a Z-Fighter team, a Majin team, or things like that could be viable in the game's future. Of course, they wouldn't compete with the main top dog hard hitter teams, like right now the Shadow Dragon team and the Fusion team and whatever other team categories we get. Super Saiyan, I hope we never get, because that's like every unit in the game.
God. LR Gohan just he stays at the top right there if that happens.
Yeah, exactly. So. And then like other potential categories we could get, like, you know, maybe an LR category or whatever, just spitballing, baby R category, whatever. You know, they won't compete with those teams like that, but they could still be competitive. And I think that's the best thing about the system. I think it's the right way to go with the game, because if you look at the game, you pay attention to it, they've had struggles with maintaining it and trying to figure out how they're going to make it a little bit harder without making it harder for the new players, because you can't just outright make these boss events incredibly impossible to do because you created these units that hit way too freaking hard. So I think that's part of why they've done it, as far as making it more restrictive as well. Now, they're going to exclude certain units from certain categories just to try to balance it, I guess. And that could be another good thing as well, because, for example, had the Fusion team dropped with Vegito Blue in there, that could have been potentially catastrophic for the game.
Oh, God.
For, like, the rest of the game's life.
Amazing.
So, yeah, exactly. It would have been incredible, but it's like, it's not good.
Right.
So I think that's all
the one good thing, I think, although maybe they could bump it up a little bit in my opinion, is the fact that they have the category, which is the big huge boost, but then they also allow to run the type that they have. So like with Gogeta Super Saiyan 4, you have the tech, and with Omega, you have the physical. Unfortunately, though, it's only a 50% boost. So I think, I obviously they can't do this already, but I think if it had been just a little higher, maybe 70 or 80 or something like that, you know, for those who aren't able to have every single category in it, it could have been, you know, something like that. But at least they included the types, because otherwise, you know, a lot of people would not. A lot of people won't have these cards, and so you're kind of stuck with this leader, and then you maybe have half the team, and then you don't. So I'm glad that they at least included the types in it. So
yeah, definitely. And I think what that type portion does is it, for one, like you said, it kind of allows you to run other units. Maybe you don't have the full possible Fusion team. Maybe you don't have, because that's one thing that's going to be hard to build because they are so restrictive. I mean, if you look at the Fusion category team, there's only like, what, 7 possible units you could actually run with that category link.
I think
of course,
so, yeah.
Well, to my point, I don't know if there's exactly 7, but only 7 you can actually run together, because there's like 3 variants of Gotenks or whatever, or 4 variants of Gotenks. Only one of them can be on the team. There's a base form Gotenks, there's an SS3 adult. There's not a whole lot of units in that, and that's going to be a problem going forward, so that's why they kind of did that. And some of those other tech units can still be relevant on those scenarios. So that's a good thing. I don't know if it incentivizes trying to run as many of those units as possible, and also it does hamper if you're. It kind of penalizes you in a way if you're not running the fusion category link, which is so absurdly powerful. You know, it penalizes you in a way if you're not running that exact team, which I don't know if that's a bad thing, to be honest. It could be a good thing.
Yeah, because I mean, like with the Fusions team, I originally was running the SSJ4 Gogeta, and then I ran the Int Gogeta, the Physical Go Tanks, the Super Saiyan Go Tanks.
Oh,
the,
incredibly broken
Pandel.
team already.
Yeah, Pandel. But then I was running the adult Super Saiyan 3 Go Tanks. But then what I found out is that, okay, actually I'm going to put in the Tech Vegito. Because yes, he's not getting the huge 150% boost, but he's a great support unit. That extra 30% on top of Pandel sometimes added on to someone like Int Gogeta is disgusting.
That's actually a really good example because that's a unit that gets the 50% and does not get the 150, but SS3 Gotenks gets it. Now, that result may vary, but Mobileman over on the Reddit did the calculations, and basically, unless your Gotenks is like approaching 55% completion in the potential system and has SA10, then Vegito actually adds more damage overall to your entire team, even though he doesn't get that much of a buff and doesn't hit hard himself. He adds more damage to the overall entire team collectively due to his passive. And that's a scenario where you have a unit that's getting 150% up, but you have a unit that's only getting the 50% up, but he's applying 30% to the other units that you could potentially have getting the 150. So he's more valuable in that scenario. Now, like I said, Gotenks actually is more valuable if he gets to that point, but, I mean, you have other units to probably prioritize, I'd imagine. So
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting thought. So, but, okay, so we've hit the positives, which unfortunately are not that. I guess one more positive would be that if they, you know, we assume that they're going to bring more categories, obviously, to the game. Each character has the ability to have 6 different categories.
Yep.
And so if they can actually start pumping these out faster, then that can allow us in the future to run more unique teams like we've been stating beforehand.
Diversity. That's what it is.
So, right. And I know some people who still, you know, hammer for having a rainbow team over a mono team. And so this categories does allow you to do that. I mean, look at the Omega category, or the Shadow Dragon arc category right now. With the Omega team, you are running both villains and heroes together, and a team that, honestly, you never run on any of the mono teams. So
yeah, exactly. That's why. It allows diversity. It allows you to run teams and units you would never otherwise use. That's the best thing about it.
Right, exactly. So, all right, so we've hit the positives. Let's go into some of the negatives now, though, unfortunately. So, because there are some to this. There are some to this right now. And the first one that I can personally think about is that this comes down to not having many of the categories out right now, but if you don't have certain characters in the category, but you maybe say get the leader, you're kind of stuck because you're not going to run, like, let's say, for example, you have Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and maybe the only other fusion card you have is Strength Gogeta, and the rest of your cards are not in the fusion characters category, and then, so you run tech guys. It's like, are you going to run a bunch of tech guys that are only get at 50%, or would you rather just run the 120% SSJ3 Goku?
At that point, you're probably better off just running, if you have all the units available for like a tech team, you're better off just running the tech team at that point.
Exactly. So, I don't know.
So they are restrictive, and that's what we were talking about earlier, and they're going to get progressively more restrictive, which we may talk about in a little bit, but once again, that could be a good thing for longevity of the game, because it's not like you're pumping out a full team. And maybe I'm just not like a big fan of the whole one team 150% up, 400k HP, 300 plus, 320, whatever it is, depending on your potential system. It's like, how can they make that less broken? Because the units are just going to hit ridiculously hard. And like I said earlier, you cannot make these events that much harder. You simply can't. Because there's going to be that percentage of players that are new to the game. And, of course, they have to take time to build their boxes up and stuff. But maybe they're not new to the game. Maybe they just don't have the best luck pulling these units or what have you. Maybe they have good luck, but their units are low SA and potential, whatever. You can't make these events hard because there's only a percentage of players that can actually complete them with relative ease or without any difficulty. So I don't know why they keep going the route of making it more OP, but see what they do is they trade off making it more OP for making it more restrictive and giving you less options. And if you're forced to run a tech team, for one, the 120% tech team is nothing to scoff at, especially with Gogeta on there. But if you're forced to run, you know, a few tech units in there, that may not be the worst thing, but it is still a bad thing because of the fact that if you wanted to run the 150 team, you just simply can't because due to lack of options right now.
Right, right, and it could more, and like we said before, more options could come, but they are very slowly implementing these out. I mean, because let's face it, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta ends here in 2 weeks. He ends on the 24th Japan time, and then they're probably gonna have some kind of double rates banner. You know, maybe that's their time to start implementing more of the categories, start giving us more of them now, and then whatever new 150% leader comes out with that. After that double rates banner, probably, I mean, just totally eyeballing it here, then maybe we can start to see more variety in there. But again, like you said, it's in a weird situation right now. And to also go on the fact of the Baba Shop units that just got their Dokkan Awaken and are basically now the Super Vegito, the Buuhan, the Omega, and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, maybe that can incentivize people to build their mono teams and they can take on these harder events. But then you're taking a 150% leader and only putting them onto a lower percent unit. So I don't really know.
Yeah, definitely. And they're going to definitely pump out other units because what it is it's a guise for them to say, hey, we have 30 different Super Saiyan Gokus. That's actually kind of factual. It's somewhere in that area, by the way.
It is, yeah.
30 different Super Saiyan Gokus. But let's make a new one because we want this one to have this specific category because all the other ones didn't have it. And they're going to keep doing it. I mean, Goku SS4 excluded from that arc, the Shadow Dragon arc, but, I mean, he did make an appearance. The category is not, I've heard this, the category is not about when a unit or a character first appears in a series. That's not what it's about because, you know, not Baby, excuse me, Maju wouldn't be in there, Pan wouldn't be in there, Super Saiyan GT Trunks, whose art, I think, is from the Baby Saga, by the way, wouldn't be in there.
It is from the... Yeah, I think it's from the Baby Saga or the Super 17 Saga, but nonetheless,
that's not what it's for. It's a way for them to say, hey, we acknowledge that all of these people took place in this arc, but we're going to slowly funnel out new units that do have that category.
Right, exactly.
So
for some, I mean, I could easily see them making a Baby Saga category, you know, for something like that, where, you know, maybe the current Super Saiyan 4 Goku is put into that category.
Oh, he's going to be in a category for sure at some point.
He'll be in a category, no problem. Every character's got 6. But then they're going to be like, hey, by the way, we're going to make another Super Saiyan 4 Goku
for the Shadow Dragon team.
For the Shadow Dragon team, it's going to start implementing
do
like
it.
that.
That's the whole. I think that's the whole reason for this. Not to say that they don't want to improve their game, you know, the game and try to find more ways to do it. Of course, allow for more damage because, like I said, damage sells. I think it all comes down to the fact that the category system is, like I said earlier, I think it's a cool mechanic. It has good features, but it all comes down to the ability for them to say, we've revamped the game, so we're going to revamp these units, and we're going to resell them to you again.
Yeah.
I think
and
that's
another example. Yeah, and another example for that is going to be Super Vegito. I mean, we've seen the new Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, the new Omega. New Super Vegito is coming. It's going to happen, and he's probably going to be something along the lines of some kind of category of maybe Patara Fusion category or, you know, Gift from the Gods or however you want to, you know, word the category. He's going to be in there, and that's where you're going to start seeing the Super Vegito, the Vegito Blue, the Tech Vegito, the Into Vegito, you know, those cards coming together into a fusion. The Kibito Kai, you know, Patara Fusion, who we originally thought would be in this Fusions category, but he's not, so...
Yeah, that's what they're doing it for. And, of course, there's some semblance of wanting to balance it. I don't want to say it like it's all a bad thing. They continually rear their heads out, for better or worse, when it comes to trying to balance some of these units. I mean, the only ones they didn't really balance were SS4, Goku, and probably Int Gogeta. You know, everybody else is probably balanced pretty well. You look at SS3 Goku, he gets no defensive improvement. Broly flat out loses all his defense. Kid Buu has no key support links. You know, Gotenks has a 7-turn restriction, in which, by the way, he initially was hurting you. They took that off of him.
Oh, yeah, they took that off. I remember when we originally saw that and translated it, and we were just like, oh,
Janemba hits like a flower, and Super 17 lacks big bad bosses, which would have made him a lot harder of a hitting unit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Cooler and Vegeta are just kind of in the middle.
Oh yeah, Cooler too.
Hitters,
yeah, those guys. Those guys are
they're good defenders at the same time.
They're the most well-rounded. They're not particularly balanced, but they are balanced.
Yes.
So it's a weird spot for them two to be in, for sure.
Right, exactly.
But the extreme is Goku and Gogeta hitting incredibly hard but having no drawbacks, and then you have the guys that hit hard but have massive drawbacks. and then the guys in the middle, the Cooler and the Vegeta.
I can just see it now when Goku Super Saiyan 4 Strength gets his category. Oh god, the damage.
It becomes the hardest hitting unit in the game, yeah.
Oh god. Well, I'm wondering because didn't Gogeta Int beat him out?
Well, see, the calculations
150%?
were done under Goku having basically, for one, I don't know if they even triggered Goku having like SS3 Goku on rotation, but it may have, probably did.
Right.
But either way, it was with Goku under his own team versus Gogeta under a fusion team.
Okay, so Goku Super Saiyan 4 was still stronger before the 150% leaders came out then.
I think that Gogeta was actually the strongest hitting unit under 120. Because the super, I call it second best, but some people will say first best. It's fine. It doesn't matter to me. The super effective to all types thing is like the best or second best thing in the game, period.
Okay.
It is that broken, and the reason why I say second is to go on his passive +1 key is stupid.
Oh god, that passive is so disgusting. It is so disgusting. Oh my god.
So you have a TUR that gets a 120% buff, which is nothing to scoff at, and then he gets super effective on everybody. So yeah, that's the thing.
And then you throw him under 150% and on some of these events.
And he's the hardest hitting unit on that team.
Boom.
So
Yep. Out damages his own leader. Out damages his own leader. What does that say?
Gogeta's like 6. SS4 is like 6th on that list. So.
Yep. And then into Gogeta's like 4th or something like that.
He's first non-LR. Yeah. I think he's third hardest hitter. Period. Maybe.
Something like that. Yeah. Nonetheless, but yeah. So all right. Well, why don't we wrap it up? What are our overall thoughts? Do we think this is gonna go forward? Because personally, for me, I want to give it the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. With the 120% leads, we thought maybe, okay, you know what? Like, we were all hyped for the 120% leads. And then after Cooler, I would say, it started to kind of be like, okay, this is what we're expecting, just overpowered here. If you don't have them, then yes, it can be a challenge. But if you have them, then you're cakewalking through everything. Because as of right now, you can take a 70% lead and take on these events. You can take a 120% lead on these events and destroy everything.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that it's a good thing overall, but I will say that it is a bad thing as well because I wanted to kind of bring up the free-to-play aspect. The more restrictive this game gets, the less option free-to-play have. So they're going to be, not to say that they'd be dead in the water, because I feel like you can still be successful for a long time coming with these 120% leaders. So if you have one of those, you can fill one of those teams, you'd still be fine. But as the game progresses, if you want to stay with the current meta, it's not going to be the best thing. It's going to be harder and harder to do because the teams are already restrictive. As of right now, we don't know the outlook. Maybe they'll be a lot more flexible with this type of stuff in the future. But you know, it just comes
and we could be jumping the gun. You know, we've only have 4 categories. 2 of them are for the the Roshi training items and the Hercule statues, so they're not really counted. So the only real 2 categories we have are the Shadow Dragon arc and the Fusion arc. So maybe once that actually starts getting fleshed out, we'll be like, oh, okay, maybe we were wrong. But at the same time, you know, we've seen their track record, so.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know. It just remains to be seen, I guess.
Right. So, all right, guys. Well, that is going to be the end of the video, unless you have any more words, man.
No, man, that's it.
Okay, so let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, as always, guys. Do you like the category art? Do you think it's going to be good, bad? You know, we see it running along with the 120% leaders. You can still take 70% leaders and take out most of these events. But I know we'll have to see. So let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out D-Free's channel. As always, makes great content. He's almost at 100,000, guys. Hit that sub button. Woo! Help him out. Get him there. Get him there. He's going to get there. And I think I'm reaching up on 30,000. So yeah, hit that sub button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the notifications so you get notified as always. Until next time, everyone, we will see you in the next one.
Peace.